Hello, Mechwarriors, and welcome to the Mechbay, where we fix your mech and fix your game. What's going on, Mechwarriors? I'm your host, Josh. I've got my co-host, Loremaster Denim.
Howdy, howdy.
And Steve, the inspiration for not one, but two proto-mech chassis with me today.
What can I say? I have the physique of a Greek myth.
And you have the mouth of a siren.
And we are the Mechbay Podcast, your number one source for all things casual to competitive tabletop Battletech. And today's episode is sponsored by Commander Ashpin, because I swear they can't walk their lance into a bloodbath twice. Mechwarrior Matthew Cross and cadets Nick Cozzolino and Nate Handy. Well, boys, we're back. It's been a month. It's been a while. Steve, how was not being in the country for a little bit?
It was very nice. Very nice. I took a trip with my wife. We went to France for a week, and it was very enjoyable. So got to see and taste all sorts of neat things. I'll save one of these for an After Dark, but there's a story involving a mistaken order at a restaurant that turns out unpleasant. So if you guys want to become patrons like Commander Ashpin, Mechwarrior Matthew Cross, or cadets Nick and Nate, you can hear that in our After Darks. So consider joining us on Patreon.
So was it exactly like I imagined New Avalon? Like, princes and, mechs trouncing around, giant mountain,
Paris is kind of dirty. I did get really excited when I saw a rat, though. So I was like, that was very exciting.
So Ratatouille is a biopic.
It's true. It's based on a true story.
Your comment about so many cigarettes just really...
Oh, my God. Everybody smokes. Everybody smokes over there. It was wild. And they don't smell gross like American cigarettes. I don't know what they've got.
They're different. They're different cigarettes.
Yeah, but they smell different. But they didn't smell super gross. So that was at least kind of nice. But yeah, we got lost on the subway. We saw a bunch of churches and stained glass. I did get to listen to the Paris Symphony Orchestra play Vivaldi's The Four Seasons in Saint-Chapelle, which was amazing. But yeah, very, very cool trip. Got to see a lot of stuff. And we had a private tour of a champagnery. Champagne's been ruined forever. I can't drink cheap stuff anymore. But that was very nice. And actually, that came about due to some people that we bumped into because of the podcast. So very generous of them to hook us up like that.
Nice.
All right, boys, we're going to use that as the bread of our compliment/poop sandwich.
Oh, no.
Because now we got to get some news. We're going to start with the big bad one. Unfortunately, because U.S. domestic policy impacts our tabletop wargaming hobby way more now than it ever has. The news is saying that tariffs to China are to go to 100% effectively on November 1st. So I think we were at 40 or 60 when the last thing started rolling around, like the big box set. Hinterlands. Was it Hinterlands? No.
There's no Hinterlands box
it was
set.
the Mercenaries box set was coming out, and that's when the last wave of tariffs were happening. So now we have another couple box sets coming out with more new tariffs. So the question is, how much will this impact Battletech Aces, the Gothic, which is just now releasing, the new 21st Centauri Lancers, Barnes & Noble exclusive, and the 2 Karita Force Packs, and anything else that comes out?
Yeah, I've got no idea, but I know that some of the Force Packs and stuff are like hitting the $50 mark now already. So who knows? It's getting to be, dare I say, Warhammer prices, and I'm not down with that.
Yeah. That's
the
bit of an issue.
Third Star League just came out, like, I want to say a week or two ago. Yeah, $50 is hard to swallow for 5 mechs and a mini support vehicle.
Yeah, it's a lot.
As long as it doesn't impact the price of blind boxes, we'll be okay, right?
Can't see how it wouldn't.
Right?
I mean, how much is a Gothic blind box? Those are a little bit more pricey, aren't they?
$10, I think.
Yeah, so we've gone from like 7 to 10. So
8. It was 8.
Okay, 8. Sorry, I'm rounding down.
You fool.
No,
Yeah.
$7.99 is not 7. Never has been.
Someone explain that to my accountant. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be great. I think this is going to slow down how much comes over, what comes over, and how much it is once it gets over. And I don't think that's great for a big release like Aces, which is scheduled for very soon, but not like immediately.
It sucks because I love going to the store and picking up new releases just to have mechs and start painting them. And it allows me to try new things that I wouldn't otherwise try when we get new sculpts. And yeah, I mean, it's not a great situation. So I guess plan accordingly, pinch a couple extra pennies if you want that new plastic.
Looking like $80 retail. I think that's what they mentioned. Looking through my previous notes, I think that will probably change. I think we're going to see another $100 plus box if it comes
Almost
over.
Certainly.
If it comes over in the next 3 months. I think Catalyst might push it back and wait for, trade things to happen. But unfortunately, this is the reality of tabletop gaming manufacturing nowadays, and we just have to suffer through it. All right, guess what? The poop sandwich is double decker. Let's talk about Battletech Gothic, released to the public.
I mean, that's exciting, kind of. I mean, it's out. We had a lot of speculation about it when it first got announced. What was it going to be? What form was it going to take? And now we know. People can buy it. And people are playtesting it right now.
Right now, literally.
So I know we briefly touched on it. What are our thoughts on the universe? So this is alternate history, Battletech, Succession Wars, but the Succession Wars got bad because of genetic engineering and stuff. Mainly, I blame Merrick's when I read that universe primer.
Yeah, no clans are coming in from the clan home worlds. Like none of that exists, so you don't have any of that stuff. I like the universe. I think it's cool. As long as you understand it's an alternate universe, it's not, they're not changing anything for this. It's just a fun reflavoring of Battletech, and I think that's nifty. I have zero problems with the Gothic theme of it at all.
Denim, I will object, and I will take the opposite tilt, right? I'm disappointed. You're building an alternate universe. I read through the primer. It feels like you just changed it 2 degrees and then let it go on its normal course. Instead of one war crime, we got a different abomination war crime. I think you could have taken way more risks and made it way different, right? You could have taken a lot more liberties just for funsies to see what was going to happen. The fact that it followed so closely to the established universe was kind of a letdown, right? I think for me, I wanted all right, we're going to do something different and kind of silly and fun.
No, I see that for sure, but you have to think of it like, a lot of superhero movies now have the multiverse going on. And you have some of them where like all the life forms are mushroom based or something, which is way, like you're saying, way out of the, way off the normal. But then you have ones that are almost the same, except for like 1 or 2 changes. So this one is that what if Battletech was the same, but you got to fight, kaiju and abomination type things. But everything else is vaguely the same because it's only like that little butterfly wing changes that made this. And as their first alternate universe project, I'm sure that they didn't want to rock the boat too much. Don't make all the changes, just make little changes, see how well it does, and then maybe they'll go crazier on the next ones. Like maybe that's just a theory.
Yeah, that was my thought when I read the universe primer. Like I was actually really interested when they released that, and I got to see like, oh, how is Battletech Gothic's universe different than the Battletech Prime universe? And I really do think that they did not take enough risk. They definitely I feel like they thought about turning it up to 11. Like this is the last chance for humanity against
this is like a 6 on that scale.
Exactly.
This is nowhere close to 11.
Like when I see the box art and I see Battletech Gothic and I see all these like demonic looking creatures fighting mechs, I think, oh, there's like monster incursions and genetic freak nanites infecting people or whatever, and they're becoming 80-foot tall Godzillas. And then I'm like, nope, Kurita just has divisions of genetic bio warriors that have wings, and then they're doing regular Kurita stuff. And I'm like, cool, I guess. I was looking for a little bit more. We're only going to sell you this edge of the seat kind of thing.
I want a little bit more horror.
Yeah.
Right? If we're talking about abominations, I want more like, hey, these are like beasts that are doing like, oh no, these are just things that we've grafted onto other things and we've done this grafting. And again, it's kind of neat. I'm not like mad, but I was a little let down. I was expecting more difference.
The universe
a little bit
didn't
more extreme.
sell it to us, me and you, Steve. Like, we thought it was cool, but we were like, if that's all it is, then, meh. Like you said, it's a 6 out of 11 on the intensity of, the Succession Wars gone wild, crazy scale. And I wanted somewhere like 9, 10, 11. So,
I mean, I've played it. The abominations are terrifying if you do it right, like totally terrifying.
All right. So how about the box? We got 8 new models.
Yep.
And they're technically all mechs we already have in, a game of Armored Combat and Force packs, but they are Gothicified. How are they? What's the model review for that? Because you've gotten to hold them in person.
I've got to play with them quite a bit. Most of them are almost the exact same scale as the ones you get. There are a couple, especially the lighter ones, and most notably, in my opinion, the Marauder, which are quite a bit. Like the Firestarter and the Urban Mech are a bit bigger. The Rifleman probably put on like 5 tons. The Marauder looks like 10 or 15 tons heavier. It really does. But especially the bigger ones, King Crab, Atlas, they look exactly the same scale to me. With my untrained eye, most of them are a very, very similar scale. So it's only a couple that are wildly. I like the spikes. I like the Gothic theme. And I've said this a lot before, not just because it's Gothic. I think it would look great as Pirates and Solaris. So, it's not a one-time use model for me. I like different. I like options. I like choices. And they look good.
Yeah, that Urban Mech looked a little. It looks like the lights got scaled up to mediums, and mediums like half the way up. So I think there might have been like a percentage. I don't know if it was fully intentional or accidental, but it
may have just been to get the details on the spikes and stuff. It very good just have been that. I really like the map that came with it. It's got a double-sided map. I think it looks great. It's a double-sided. It's not like the other box sets that come with like 1 or 2 map sheets that you can then flip over. It comes with a single paper map that's a battle mat size, and then that flips over. So you basically have have a double-sided paper battle mat. So they could go more with that. That it looks really good. I like it.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Steve, what do you think about the models?
I've seen them. I've gotten a couple in blind boxes. They're kind of neat. I agree with Denim. I think a lot of these are going to be relegated to either Solaris or, one-off faction mechs. I do like the King Crab. I think the King Crab looks pretty cool. I also like the Firestarter quite a bit. But, the Scorpion, the Irby, I'm not in love with all of them. But like the Marauder looks kind of neat, but it is a little big. My concern is, because they had to up the size for the extra detail, I'm afraid people aren't going to use them for Alpha Strike, because when you're using true line of sight, having a larger model is a distinct disadvantage when you're trying to take advantage of cover. I hope that people can play people that are going to say like, oh, well, I understand it's a little bit bigger and I'm going to give you partial, rather than like kind of trying to angle shoot on those and deny
intent.
That people.
You got to play Alpha Strike with intent.
I think it's important, but I've seen it happen, and I've played with people that I can see more of your unit. That's what the rules say. You chose to use a larger model, you take the penalty. So I think you may not see Gothic models get used much in Alpha Strike, but for Classic, obviously that's not a concern, and they look kind of cool. So I don't mind them. There are some I like more than others.
I think the Phoenix Hawk is probably my favorite looking one. I think that one has just the perfect amount of Gothic to mech, ratio. And I'm like, if I got that one as its own piece, I would be pretty happy. But like I said, the other ones, take it or leave it. Like, if you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. So, all right, let's talk about the actual in-game game. How does it play? Are all of these just reskins of things that we've already done, or is it, new?
Yeah, the Abominations are a reskin of battle armor with extra abilities and extra flavor. So if you're familiar with using battle armor, the Abominations won't be difficult for you to transition to, but you do have to read the rules, because there are subtle changes. So for sure.
What's the biggest change? Like, if you can.
Well, there's two pretty big ones in my mind. One of them is that if you do enough damage to an Abomination squad, it can it can go prone, but that means different things. So if it's smaller units, they basically scatter. And if it's a bigger single model, then it like falls down and is actually prone.
You mean like dead prone? Like, are we talking like if you kill a bunch of little ones?
Well, if you kill them, they scatter. So the next turn, they have to spend a movement point to stand back up or turn back into a cohesive unit that can fight.
Okay.
If they're like VTOL ones, they can't use their VTOL movement for that. They have to use ground movement for that. So it basically pins them in the same hex for one turn.
Oh, yes. Good old Warhammer 7th edition pinning rules.
Right. Well, yeah, sort of like that. Because if they don't, then they've got that +2 of firing while prone type of thing. And like the bigger models, the Titans and Giants, have a firing arc, so they cannot fire directly behind them because they can't torso twist. Like their front firing arc is the left and right and center ones combined, but their rear firing arc is a blind spot. They cannot fire behind them.
Okay,
which is kind of cool.
So they've all got their own little flavor rules.
And then the last big thing is that they also have a melee attack. So unlike the normal swarm and leg attacks that battle armor get, they have a melee attack that they can use instead, which means that they can fire. And if they're adjacent to you, then they can also do a melee attack in the attack phase. So they get extra attacks.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can get into it later, but especially since some of them are VTOLs, which means that those melee attacks are rolled on the punch table because you can fly like 2 or 3 levels high.
Now, I'm pretty sure in regular classic Battletech, VTOL battle armor cannot anti-mech or leg attack you. Well, I guess anti-mech is the parentheses and leg attack and swarm, because that's the only thing. You're not at level for leg, but in Gothic, it's not called a leg attack. It's called like a mob attack or something.
Well, yeah, but you still can't do the mob or the swarm attacks either. For melee, this is just a regular melee attack. It's a separate thing. So they get the leg attacks, they get the swarm attacks, but they also have a separate third melee attack damage box. Yeah, this is a separate thing, so it's new.
Oh, yes. So we took the best of proto-mechs and battle armor and put them in a 30-25 Gothic setting.
Yeah, they are definitely a terrifying form. If you're used to battle armor, they are terrifying. Like they are definitely just a bit extra on top of all of that.
But you've got plenty of Plaza rifles and Inferno SRMs and
I mean, you don't
Arrow 4, right? Like these are these are what we use to kill battle armor.
You don't have plasma because all the weapons in there are 30-25 intro tech type stuff.
Oh my gosh!
I thought they had blazers.
Yeah, they do introduce blazers, but the blazers are just 2 large lasers strapped together with duct tape. Like that's what a blazer is.
Blazers were never good, Steve. As much as I hate to break it to you and like 3 other people in the fan base, blazers were never good.
Because you're dealing with the single heat sinks, they do give you dazzle mode, which is something that they developed in universe, and that's basically powering down the intensity of the lasers. So against a mech, it would only do half damage, but against a fleshy abomination, it does full damage while only producing half heat. So a large laser that does 8 heat and 8 damage would only do 4 heat. It would do 8 damage to an abomination or 4 damage to a mech. So that's one way to keep, like your Phoenix Hawk can actually move and fire its large laser if it's fighting waves of abominations without overheating. It's a cute little fix without going to double heat sinks, because there are no double heat sinks in this universe.
So would you say, I don't want the like full balance treatise, but like battle armor against 30-25 tech is pretty rough.
It's literally impossible to balance.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, because there is no battle value assigned to these.
Oh, okay.
To these abominations.
What about the mechs? Do the mechs have battle value?
Yeah, and they're the same as your normal intro. Okay. Like they include the intro tech atlas. It is the battle value of the of that atlas. But it's weird because they give you a blank sheet for the abominations for you to create your own. It has no construction rules. It has no battle value. So what are you supposed to do with that?
So it's purely up to the GM or whoever wants to house rule it, and it's just go with Blake, do your best. Whatever you want to put on this sheet is legal.
Well, here's a coloring book that you can color with all the cool Gothic things, but they give you no crayons, and the coloring book is just blank pieces of paper. Like there's no lines, there's no crayons, but they expect you to make a game out of it. So there's no balance. There's zero balance in that game.
So how are you supposed to know how many
You just guess.
abominations to go up against in them?
You just guess. Like, it's got scenarios. I'm not going to go too much into that. I actually have a review on our Discord. You can go to our Discord and find my review on there. I talk about I talk about just the first scenario, the one that's supposed to introduce you to the concepts of the game, and basically like, oh, this is a self-contained box. Here is a scenario that talks about, let's introduce you to this. Here's just the core concepts of this Gothic universe, and it didn't go well. It is not what I would call a fun scenario. So you could read that review, but other than that, it'll take much too long to get into right now.
Denim, if I could get your 1 through 10 ranking of the Battletech Gothic box set, is this people should pick it up? People should try to get it on sale? People should try to win this at a tournament as a prize?
That's hard. I love the minis. I like the universe. I like the art. I like the stories that people have been coming out with. I read Brian Young's Fox Marauders for this. It's the free one that came out. Mm-hmm. I thought that was great. I was very entertained. But if you're looking for a box that you can just open up and play with new people and say, all right, here, let's play a game, that is a 0 out of 10. Everything else is like around 6 or 7 out of 10.
So average like 2.
I'd say, because if you're looking to be able to play the game, it's probably a 3 out of 10. If you're just buying it for the models, it's much closer to like an 8 out of 10.
So like you said earlier, it's a 6 out of 10 depending on what you want.
Yes.
6 out of 11 on my scale.
Yeah.
Okay. And like you did mention, there was a new Gothic Shrapnel edition, which I know Jason Hansa wrote some of the stories for that. And the free, it's Fox Patrol, but 3025. So it's Fox Marauders. And that's the free book. So if you go to the Catalyst web store, you can download that, read it for free, get introduced into the universe. And that's by Brian Young. So even if you don't like the box set, you can read about it and enjoy the free stories.
Yeah. I haven't read the Shrapnel yet, but I have read the Fox Marauders. I liked it a lot.
Cool.
I was gonna say, speaking of Brian Young, didn't they just announce the new standalone Fox Patrol novel that's going to be pre-ordered? Outfoxed, I think, is what they called it. I think they just announced that they're
fantastic.
They're doing a standalone novel now, as opposed to all the short stories.
They released the art for that because it is a griffin punching a night ski.
I like Fox Patrol. I've got the sticker on my laptop. I'm a fan.
My wife likes those. She doesn't like Battletech. She tolerates my hobby. She likes Fox Patrol.
Yeah.
I told her they were coming out with a novel, and she's like, but I haven't read the Christmas part yet. I'm like, well, you better start reading then. So.
All right. Well, that's the other piece of bread for our poop sandwich. All right. Having fun. Let's move on to some hobby progress. All right. I'll lead off. Guess what, boys? I got Mech Commander 2 working on the old PC this week because Bushwhackers and Razorbacks fighting on Carver 5. It's the quintessential Battletech, at least to me.
Yeah, I played a lot of Mech Commander 2, like a whole lot of Mech Commander 2.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Yeah, how'd it go on your computer? Like on a modern day computer. I say modern day, geez, your computer's still probably 2 decades behind.
My computer is a 2011, sir. Thank you. The nostalgia doesn't work, folks. It's like it plays. It works. I got audio, I got graphics and everything. If the resolution doesn't go up to modern computer resolution and the graphics just don't do it, like I feel like I'd actually need to dumb down my entire computer system for it to be like more enjoyable. But even then, like,
is it based on clock speed and not like so the faster your computer is, the faster the game runs, and there's no limit on that?
It felt a little laggy. Like the frame rate just wasn't as smooth as I would have expected, or at least was not as smooth as I remember it being back in the day. So yeah. So I did the first mission, was like, aw.
I know they're doing a Mech Commander mod for MechWarrior 5, so it does that whole top-down view, just like in Mech Commander. It's got the same mechs, and it's even got some of the voice packs from the game. Mm-hmm. I don't know how complete that is yet, but I know that exists. So if you're looking for a more modern a reworked version of it, but the same missions that you remember. You can check that out.
I'll think about it. I know I got a little crushed, but yeah, that was my computer hobby progress. In model hobby progress, I did get Hangar 18, our faithful local Battletech store, to 3D print me off a retro style Ryzen Nexus and Grand Crusader. They are done in the style like the original Comstar, field manual or whatever. So they're the
nice
Japanese style. So it's all like weird leg and sharp angles, like fully lawsuitified. So thank you very much to Marcus for printing those, because even he was like, yeah, these legs are going to break. So I printed you off a second one. So I appreciate that. And the last thing I did go to our good old Battletech Mecha Fortress Miniatures and Games and ordered a Beowulf, a Lightning, and a Lauhu, and I finished it off with a little battle armor because I just can't help myself. And I got a squad of Shinlong, so 1 Comstar, 3 Capellan. Why? I don't know. It's the
Capellan's got some really good mechs and battle armor. Like honestly, they really do.
Yeah, that Lauhu was totally like, oh man, that was in Mech Commander 2. I should get one of those. Totally not because the model looks good. It doesn't look good, folks. The Mech Commander 2 pixels looked better. But the Lightning's a newer model too. And improved heavy Gauss.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me. I didn't put any paint on anything. I didn't even open up my little wet palette. I'm bad. But guess what? We got a tournament coming up soon, folks. So that's going to be all I do. So
yeah, I was going to say, you're running out of time. You got to start painting.
Yeah, the inspiration has not hit me yet. I still have no idea what I'm taking to Southern Assault. Like, I think I threw together a list today, and I think someone said you're pure evil. And I was like, yeah, that's closer to Tournament Josh's style.
Yeah, I saw that list. It was like mostly Protomechs and battle armor.
Mostly Protomechs and battle armor.
It's like a 15-unit list. Like, what is this?
You've got less than 4 weeks, so,
Yeah. Quick, before I have a panic attack, someone go.
Denim, how about you? Did you get any hobbying done?
I bought the Gothic box set. I paid money for this product. I put the Krita head on the Atlas.
Of course,
that's how I roll. Painted up some stuff for the campaign day because we did Gothic on there. So some of the larger abominations, I used some Godzilla minis, and they looked really, really good. Having those march through the city and have a couple mechs coming after those, it was it looked really, really good.
For my Godzilla fanboys, which Godzilla did you choose?
We had quite a few. We had regular Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla. We had I forget the name of it, but it just looks like this big sludge monster with tentacles.
Shin Godzilla, I believe.
No, it was the name's right there. I just it's just a blob. People will know what it is who are fans. That was a lot of fun. That looked cool. And since it was for the campaign day, I made up my own scenario, so I didn't try and do anything out of the box set. And people had fun. It was a big success.
We're going to get hate mail now that you couldn't remember the name.
Oh, that's fine.
It's going to be from me.
It's fine. But yeah, so most of my stuff for Hobby Progress was Gothic related. That's
okay.
All. How about you, Steve?
I'll talk about this when we get to games played, but I went to the local game shop just the other day, and speaking of our new patron, Matthew Cross, he's the same Matt Cross from Cross Electric Designs, and he has been working on a project in part because he wanted to, also in part because I've been harassing him about it. We're trying to do classic rivers, right? Hexagonal rivers for classic, and brought a bunch of test pieces for me to use on my maps, which I'm very excited about. So thank you, Matt. I've done some painting for my Southern Assault list that is very slowly approaching completion. Hopefully I'll have that to report in full detail next episode. And I had, thankfully, Gopher go down to Columbus, snuck their way into Ironman Metals, and bought me metal by the pound, which is always a nice, exciting thing to do.
Do they allow gophers into Ironwind Metals? I would think that'd be a manufacturing problem. Like, I don't know if OSHA would get involved for furry marmots running around forging materials and stuff, but
no, it was actually funny.
If they have money, they'll let anyone in.
That's true.
No, you guys met Gary. Gary's wife was down there for a business trip for work. So she's like, my husband says I have to stop here. What do you want? And I'm like, yes, here's a list. Thank you. But no, she did a great job, and she got me everything I was looking for. The two highlights in that giant pile of metal that would be too long to recount right now is I got
how many pounds? How many pounds? That's the real answer.
Maybe like 1.5, maybe 2.
It's under 10 pounds. What's the point?
The two big highlights is I got the new Timberwolf A.
Okay.
Nice. So I'm very excited for that. I also got the metal cast of the Clanbuster Black Knight.
Ooh.
Problem. The blister is sealed. I'm looking in the blister. That Black Knight is supposed to come with a sword.
Yeah.
That Black Knight has no arms in my blister.
If I had a nickel.
A true Black Knight.
It has no arms. It's got 3 legs, no arms, and a head. So I need to write Mike and be like, Mike, I have a problem. Here's a picture of my blister that doesn't have anything in it. So yeah, my Black Knight progress is on hold. But I have most of one, which is exciting.
That's very ironic because when I was at Ironwood Metals for the Bluegrass tournament, we went up there, I bought arms for my like yard sale Black Knight that I found, and Dustin had paid him up as the like Monty Python Black Knight. So
sure.
It's like, I went up to Ironwood Metals, bought arms for my Black Knight. You have bought a Black Knight at our Ironwood Metals in blister, and it has no arms. So
it has no arms.
It's the curse of the Ironwood Metals Black Knight.
I don't know what it is. I don't know whether I suspect
it happens.
But I've heard other people have the same problem. I'm curious if they do it via weight, and because there's a third leg in there, they go, oh, it's pretty close. It must have everything. And they seal it up and send it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what their QC looks like, but I got to send an email because a Black Knight with no arms doesn't do me much good.
Yeah, it's kind of rough.
That's been the majority of my progress.
Yeah.
Oh, just so that people don't send hate mail, I just had to think about it for a second. It's Hedorah is the creature that we fielded.
So it's not actually a Godzilla itself.
No, it's a Godzilla monster.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, my brain was going through the catalog, like the little Rolodex flipping around inside my head that only has 3 things on it.
I was like, there's only like 32 or 40 different monsters in Godzilla. So
all Godzillas are technically Godzilla. Like that's how it works.
Even the Matthew Broderick Godzilla?
Especially the Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
Anyway, they look good on the table. So that's the important part.
That's what's important. But no, that's my hobby progress. We got more metal that I will maybe paint one day. I got some rivers. I've been painting my Southern Assault list. So
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, making progress.
Games played, folks. All right. I played the one, the only, the Jason Hansa. He came on down to good old Hangar 18. Brought him down. I treated him to lunch. I even went to the fancy Italian sandwich shop, brought him a sandwich, and I see him eating Taco Bell when I get there. I was like, bro, what are you doing? I bought you a $15 sandwich. Like, come on.
Did you tell him you were going to buy him a sandwich?
I did, and he did not read his messages from the time he left.
You know, I also had an experience where Jason didn't read his messages when he came to visit me in Michigan.
So this is a recurring thing.
I said, we're going to get pizza. And he's like, yeah, sure. Sounds great. I give him the name of the pizza place. I tell him the name of the store we play at.
I remember this.
They're literally across the street. They're literally across the street from one another, so you can walk directly over. He's like, hey, I'm here. Where are you? I'm like, Jason, this building is not that big. It's not that big a pizza place. I'm looking for you. Where are you? He's like, I'm in the store at this address. I'm like, Jason, that's like 4 miles down the road. That is the wrong pizza place of the same name. The man does not look at his messages.
You got to tell the fact checker where he needs to be, so when he sends in his draft, then he can read it. But no, Jason came down and he wanted to play a list, and he took a Jingao, shocking, a Wasp, a Teen Zong, and a Min Shin, and I took Avatu's own chosen, the Grim Reaper Avatu, of course, a Raijin, a Grand Crusader, and the Excalibur D1. That's the rack one.
Can't say Grand Crusader without me thinking of the original artwork in the technical readout, where it's just that fat thing with the tiny little stubby legs. All I see is Baymax. That's why I wanted the other one, like the original art before it got fattened. Yeah.
Rarely does the art get worse, but somehow. So this was a 3 objectives in a line, long deployment, and essentially if you are on 1 and your opponent's on 1, then you both score 0 because, you have the same amount. So it's really, you want to score more than your opponent. And I was like, okay, we can do that.
So you just have to get all three, right, Josh?
You just have to get all three, but they're in a line. So as long as you keep moving, you can do it. The highlights for this one, because I should start with, we used the playtest rules from the first playtest and the second playtest in this. And we played on the water map, like the Savannah map pack, like it's all river delta kind of thing. So plenty of opportunities to run through water, plenty of opportunities to fall, plenty of opportunities to do everything. So my highlights were, of course, grabbing the first two objectives and like locking him out of that. I don't think he scored of the main objective, and we worked on his list afterwards, so he's going to do better next time. But Avitu did get behind the Jingao after I won initiative, I think 2 turns in a row, and was able to snub nose and MML into his rear for 2 turns, and I think I just blew his engine out, and it was rough. Like I felt bad doing it, but that's what the Avitu Grim Reaper does. My Grand Crusader got a lot of heat problems, but I did get, I want to say, 2 head hits with LRMs onto his Tianzong's head. Went inside, I got a double crit, and I found his cockpit. And the rest of the mech, not even breached on armor. So felt a little bad on that one. But hey, he was shooting like Gauss rifles at me, and that's not allowed. What is it? Avitu also got a sweet DFA on the Wasp that he took. I hit with the DFA, did not crush the Wasp, and then fell down. I was like, what? Is that even legal?
How did you do that?
Yeah. Like how do you DFA something and it not crush a Wasp? And I was like, oh, because it's only a 55 tonner.
Still, the Wasp's got like, what, 12 armor?
Yeah, but like,
total?
I just spread it across, the leg, or not leg, gosh.
Yeah, right. Okay, then you're doing it wrong. There you go.
Yeah.
I figured it out.
No, I mean, yeah. He was shocked too. It was one of those rare cases where, well, how is the Wasp still alive? And I'm doing the math now. Yeah, I only do 17 damage in clusters of 5 with the DFA. It's not great, but so he can survive. And then I fell down and he stayed standing. Like it was just like, bro, what happened here?
Hey, good for the Wasp.
Yeah. But the cool thing is he did get to blow off my Grand Crusader's leg because we were using the side arc rules. So he was able to put a whole bunch of fire into that leg. As soon as he went internal, he rolled the 12 for the crit. The leg blew off. I fell down. We used the new rules, which we'll talk about later, to stand back up on a broken leg, folks.
Well, so you stood back up on a missing leg because it is like
on the blown off. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we will.
And the other thing was he did have some Fa Shi battle armor. They did clamp onto my Excalibur. Like they did swarm me instead of leg attack me. And that Excalibur can jump, folks. And guess what? That's a wet map. And guess what kills battle armor?
Fire.
Jumping into level 2 water.
Yeah, jumping into water. And the problem was my upper body real open, lower body fine. So here I am jumping into level 1 water.
Level 1 water won't do it, not if it's swarmed.
But here's the thing. I wanted me to jump, and when I land, I have to get to do the roll to see if they fall off.
Yeah, if they shake off.
They did not shake off. So here I am with the Excalibur opens comms to the Fa Shi battle armor. It's like, but surely we will both die if we fall in the water. Fa Shi, LOL, LMAO. 200 BV to 2000 BV. Yeah, the Fa Shi are like, yeah, I'll drown. Go for it.
Yep.
So that was a great game. Wild. So many things happened, but those were the stupid highlights. So
that's fun. Sounds like a good time. And Jason's always fun to play with too. So, he's always in good spirits when he gets to the right restaurant. And then,
Hey, he only took 1 Jingao against you. He took 2 against me. So I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah. And the time he took it against me before this, he played it wrong. So Jason, you gotta up your game. All right. But so that was my one big game that I want to talk about. Steve, what about you? You get any games in?
Truthfully, with the trip out of town and everything else, I only have 1 game to report. And I did a playtest game at the game shop with Howard. Howard is a dream of a person. And you know this because when you sit down at the table, Howard shows up as you're setting up the map with a gin and tonic with your name on it that I didn't ask for. And I'm like, yes, this is amazing. Thank you, Howard. You're a gentleman and a scholar. And you bring me cocktails, which is what I would like to see. So we did this with the intent of playtesting both set 1 and set 2 playtest rules. So we all kind of brought just mechs laden with more ammo than armor, trying to see if we could, flip something off and make it explode. He took a flea, a battlemaster, a catapult, and a rifleman, and I took an Argus, a Caesar, an Ostel, and a Sentinel. Ultimately, the game didn't really go anywhere. A lot of shots got traded, but nothing exploded. His Battlemaster's left torso was open, and I put 3 critical hits into it and somehow magically missed all the ammo. So that was kind of a bummer. I did have my Sentinel chase down his flea, which was pretty great, but nothing really special happened. We used the side arcs for drilling in specific damage into one torso. That felt a little okay. Playtest wise, my Sentinel managed to run through water and didn't fall over and die, which was great.
Yeah.
But we really only played maybe 4 or 5 turns before the flea was dead. The Battlemaster was dead. I'm sorry, the catapult was dead, and the Battlemaster was pretty open. And he's like, "It's 2v4. I'm not going to beat you." The one point that was extremely funny is we had the rifleman and the flea and the Sentinel and the Argus. We jammed 4 racks in one turn. Like everyone, we're all point blank, we're all pointing at each other, everybody tick 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 tick, and nothing goes off. We're like, how did this happen? How did we just jam 4 racks?
I love it. I love it.
It was a weird game. It was an enjoyable game. I like playing Howard. I brought a bunch of mechs that I wouldn't have otherwise played. Actually, I crowdsourced my list to the Discord, and I played one that people have put together for me. So I appreciate your help. It went well. We won. Way to go, team! But none of the new special rules really came up much, and we tried. We really tried to put ourselves in situations where they would matter.
Yeah,
and they didn't, and that was a little disappointing.
These rules were much more. You're not going to get all of them in one game kind of thing. Like you need to play several to get maybe all of them.
Right. Like several. It's,
yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that
it's not we'll just go play a game with that. It's like I said with the first one, play at least 10 games. At least 10 games. I know it takes a long time, but that's the only way to really get a good grasp on this.
Well, sounds like you still had a fun time before you left the country, Steve.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
Mr. Denham, what have you been playing lately?
I played a few games, but the one I'd like to talk about, I played Joseph, who was a regular at Hangar 18. He's one of the old Battletech players. Played back in the 80s and early 90s, and then he left for a while and he came back. He's moving away, so he wanted to play one last game at Hangar 18, and he likes his custom mechs, as we've talked about before. So I said, yeah, absolutely. We will play with custom mechs and it will be a great time. And we did. He brought 2 mechs, custom mechs, 100 and 65 tonner. So between the 2 of them, it was 19 clan ER medium lasers with targeting computers.
Oh my.
And
wow.
All of his mechs had mask and or superchargers.
Daring today, aren't we? Clan custom mech player.
Well, back in the old days, those were medium pulses, because the goal, as I found out very quickly, his goal was to use his mask and supercharger to run up into short range, and using the targeted computer to blow off legs. Like that's what you did. And with pulse lasers, it was so easy back in the day, but now you can't do that because you can't target with a pulse laser.
Did he know that?
Yeah. But that's why he switched to ER mediums.
Oh,
so
okay.
you could fit twice as many on there because they're only 1 ton instead of 2 tons. So you have the same chances. Like you've got twice as many weapons to hit with, and he was heat neutral. So it was that was interesting.
Of course, he's heat neutral because why would your custom mech have any? Any
When I see heat neutral, like he would go up 1 or 2 heat if he ran and fired everything. So I grabbed some mechs that I made a long time ago. I was very into Goshawks when they came out. So I had a 55 ton Goshawk that I named the Umbra Hawk. And then I had the bully that I created on the podcast. That was fun. That's the one with the 2 LB10Xs. And I had a little bit of space left over, but I didn't have any custom mechs that were that low BV. So I grabbed the Panther 13K, the one I like it goes 5.88 with the plasma rifle and the SRM4, which I always put Inferno rounds into. Mm-hmm. The Umbra Hawk, it just turns out, which was super, super nice, had reflective armor.
Oh, yeah.
So all of those clan ER mediums only did 3 points of damage to it every time they hit, which was super, super nice. It was the only one I had that had reflective armor, but it was enough.
Because F you, why not?
We did. Yeah, we had a map that had some water on it because we were testing out the new rules and stuff. Mm. He charged in fast, so he ran through the water, no problems at all. We walked through water a couple times, no problems. Think about the reflective armor is it takes double damage from physical attacks.
Yeah.
So that was his goal, was as long as he was running up there to try and target my leg off of, he was also trying to do physical attacks. The bully was amazing. The bully did what it was supposed to do. It soaked up so much damage. It ended up with no arms and one leg, so it couldn't even stand up by the end of it. The Panther got behind one of his mechs and heated it up so much. It was like at 18 or 20 heat.
Oh, yeah.
But it turned a 65 tonner, like turned around and backhanded it and grabbed the plasma rifle off. So all I had was SRMs with Infernos, which wasn't good. His 100 tonner was in bad shape, but his 65 tonner was doing pretty well, except for one leg that didn't have any armor. So I kept making him run back and forth using his because he would switch between mask and supercharger, and I kept jumping from one side of the river to the other. And one of the times he ran through and failed that PSR, he fell down. He had 3 points of armor left on that leg, took 1 point of armor from the fall because it was water, so half damage.
Oh, yeah.
Rolled the 11 for the breach, flooded the leg.
Even
so
better.
Then he flooded the leg, flooded his torso, so he couldn't use the arm. Needed like a 9 or a 10 to stand. Never was able to stand up. So he's underwater. He still is a functional mech, but he can't stand up without risking,
more damage.
It's just too high. So he's just stuck underwater. While his other mech it keeps getting hit with Inferno SRMs and this Goshawk with a large pulse with the targeting computer. And so it even though my bully was legless and armless, I still took the field. We had a great time. Like, these are the games that I remember from the old days. Like, these are the custom v custom. That's exactly what it looked like. Just a bunch of ER mediums or medium pulses and targeting computers and just jumping all over the place. It was super fun. We did use all the playtest rules. I gotta say, the more I use it, I actually really like the left and right torso rules, just mainly because it really speeds up the game. And the times where you use the flanking to your advantage to core mech, when it happens, it's significant, but it didn't happen that often with how the initiative rolls worked. I actually kind of like it. Like, I thought I was kind of not like it nearly as much. I thought it worked out well. Yeah. Okay. So I'm right now I'm a fan of it. Like, I'll still play it a few more times just to make sure, but I don't have a big problem with the new side torso rules.
We'll talk about that later, but yeah. Glad to know that you gave him a good last game.
Oh, it was fantastic. We had a lot of fun. He said it was a great game to end out the Hangar 18 experience. So, have fun, Joseph, wherever you end up.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up with some tales from the hiring hall. So last we left, the Solar Flares were completing their contract, and they are now on their way to Carver 5 because they've been hired by the independent local government to be partisans against the Inner Sphere Houses invasion. So, quote, "You were right about one thing, Commander. The negotiations were short." Hopefully by the next episode, I'll have finished that contract and can report back in on how they are.
Nice.
Yeah. Steve, anything from the Hogs or the Op4 Hogs?
All quiet on the Hinterlands front here.
Okay.
Like I said, I got one game in, and I meant it. We got one game in.
Yeah, my guys are still looking for a new Shadowhawk pilot, so I basically have to create a new. Like, I've lost too much in my current campaign. I'm going to have to make a whole new mercenary unit.
All right.
So, yeah, a fresh start.
Where no one knows my names and
That's right.
my
Yeah.
social security C-bill numbers have been filed off all the mechs. All righty. Well, we already know which upcoming events coming up, and that's Southern Assault 5, good old Clemens, North Carolina. If you're not registered, you've got a little bit of time, like teeny tiny bit of time to register for either the Alpha Strike or the Classic, because I think a few spots may have opened up in the last week. So you've got time, but not a lot of time if you want Alpha Strike or Classic.
You can also go to fortressbattlegrounds.com. I think that's the official website for the tournament.
Well, let's take a quick break before we get into Playtest Part 2.
They're my mechs, and I want them now.
They're my mechs, and I want them now.
Are you waiting on a shipment of mechs to outfit your company or occupation zone? Have you paid for a product you've not yet received? Then call JG Mechworks for a structured mech delivery plan at 877 Mechs Now. They're your mechs. Use them when you need them.
877 Mechs Now.
And we are back to talk about Playtest Part Number 2, Mobility Rules, starting September 29th, 2025, ending November 10th, 2025. Actually released on September 30th and guessed by Forrester Novacat Mystic.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I was impressed. Of course, the Novacat Mystic, went on his... would do
cheating.
that. Yeah.
Looked into the visions and saw...
Yep.
What, he was within an hour of the release
he
time?
was 40 minutes off. Because as soon as it passed, as soon as we hit the 29th, I was like, all right, folks, someone's got to guess because I got nothing going on in my life that I care about right now. So the fun part is the Deadpool of when it drops. And good job, Forrester. All right. So I really just real quick want to touch on that. Have our thoughts changed? I will start for the side arcs. It did not change very much in the sense of like I am still pretty positive. I did not see the super increased lethality, but I also only played missions with objectives. So there was a lot of like, yeah, sure, I could go kill your mech, but I'd also be losing on the objective point. And I really think playing different types of Battletech is how we're going to get like the best play test out of this, instead of just if everyone's playing just kill on kill, then yeah, it's going to be more killy. But if you're playing like protect the thing or grab the thing or different types of objective missions, like Hinterlands, I played Hinterlands games with this. Yeah, it didn't come up as much, like because I had to do other things. I couldn't optimize for side arc damage. So I think I'm positive on the side arcs. And for ammo, I'm positive, but it doesn't do enough. There was only one time where it saved a mech, and that was a Gauss rifle explosion in a hand. And the mech had an Intersphere XL and like the damage travel, and he got to like 3 pips of structure left. And I was like, cool, you'd be dead if that wasn't, but now you lived. But all my mechs that had, the Spartan, I think, exploded 3 times and it died each time because as soon as they got into that side torso, they found AMS ammo. It still blows up for like, 20. So,
yeah, I don't know. I've played with it a little bit. Some of these games didn't come up quite often enough for me to really form an opinion. I would say that I am still reserved, slightly negative on some of these changes. The side torso, especially because when I did try to get into that Battlemaster, and I could. There was nothing he could do about it, and I got into the side of that Battlemaster pretty badly, and it didn't feel good. It felt very easy to do, and when I want my walking tanks to be kind of durable, but not extremely durable. So I don't know.
I wanted the Jade Falcon players like, okay, what are my like, not jump strong, but like, what are my jump 8, jump 10, like hero Falcons and Sparrows? Like, what are they doing with these playtest rules? Are they just insanely oppressive? So
jump gets a big boost. The ability to be maneuverable and get to those locations to force those shots is undeniably powerful.
But your opinions otherwise didn't really change.
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm lukewarm, hesitant.
Okay, Denim.
Yeah, I started off pretty negative about the side torso changes, but have since mostly changed my mind. Aside from the Jump 7 Plus Pulse beasts that already have a problem, like the lethality from them definitely goes up. But I think that's just indicative of a bigger problem that we have with them. So I think that they need to be worked on in some manner. As far as just general playing, when we weren't playing with a bunch of Pulse Bunnies, yeah, slightly more lethal, but not so much that it broke games. Positioning was more important. The biggest thing I noticed is that once my brain got past the whole 8 equals center torso on a side torso hit, the speed at which we could do side hits went up so fast. Like, it was just so fast.
I didn't need my reference sheet like once during an entire game. I was like, why did I bring this?
Yeah. And I really like that. It did actually noticeably speed up games for that. Like I said, there was a little bit of extra lethality, but not as much as I feared in my games that I played that didn't have the jumping pulse problem.
Okay. What about the ammo?
I like that. The ammo explosion, we had one mech survive an ammo explosion because it had case, which only does like the 10 points. So it had an XL engine. It still survived. I thought that was cool. But that happens so infrequently. The big problem I have with that is just that the rules still feel cumbersome, and we spent more time reading and rereading those paragraphs to make sure that we had all the edge cases correct than we actually did playing the game, and that was a bummer. But as far as like the rules themselves, like ammo explosions don't happen that often, and normally when they do, your mech is in pretty bad shape anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't feel that changed anything in any meaningful way. So if they go with those rules, that's fine. I just have to get my brain to understand what they're trying to say so I can do it faster.
Yeah, I'd love if the language was cleaned up around ammo explosions in case. That needs a little bit of love.
My only thought on the case ammo explosion one is I wish it affected all mechs a little bit more equivalently. Like we discussed, the lights don't survive, and it's like,
it has no effect on lights and lighter mediums. It just makes heavies and assaults a little bit more durable.
Yeah. And even then, like I said, my Spartan blew up the ammo twice and it still died. And I was like, yeah, I don't have case. They didn't put case. There's only one variant with case. It's not available to anyone outside of Star League. I don't know why. I'd really love if I could have some case.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, it's like, great, not working. And none of my other mechs that had ammo died from ammo. And I was like, of course.
So in general, I'm happy with Playtest 1 rules. It wouldn't bother me if they did not accept the side torso rules and just went with how they originally were. But I don't really have a problem if they went with it. So I went from slightly negative to slightly positive.
neutral plus. Plus. Okay. Well, like I said, I just wanted our thoughts before we all type them in, and I'll be checking for usernames and comments. Santa checks his list, and he checks it twice. That was Playtest 1. Let's talk about Playtest 2. This one is, I want to say, very different. When they said that they put out the controversial one first, they really did. This one had a general, like, everyone looked at it, nodded. I think there were 2 cases where I saw someone like, this is unacceptable. And I had to do like a lot more investigation on why. And once I found out, I was like, oh, that makes sense, because you were a little smarter than me on why. Like you read through all the points to get to it. So I was really, really happy that this one was more well received. I definitely think they should have led with this one, I thought.
Yeah. So let's just go over not the details, but just what they are, and then start doing details.
Yeah, because there's a lot more on this one. I think there's like 9. There's 9 specific points. First, they've changed water. Water is no longer the horrible, horrible death trap that it was in 1990, nor 2000, nor 2025, the year of our Lord Blake. You can walk in it without taking a PSR. Amazing. 10 out of 10. Mechs can walk through water. it still counts as an extra movement, like you're walking through a light woods. Still got to pay to get down. That's fine. When you have to PSR is when you run or technically jump and land in water like you did before.
You only have to do 1 PSR for jumping now instead of 2.
Oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that. I had read this wrong the first time. I thought that running cost more plus 2 MP. No. So if I'm walking in Depth 1 water, it costs the same as running in Depth 1 water. It's just I have to take a PSR in Depth 1. I played that wrong my first game. So that was one of those, like, we can change the wording on this. So overall, what are our thoughts on walking in water for free and running in water for PSR?
Yeah, it's still deadly, but it's not insta-death. Like, originally in Battletech, we learned pretty early on, you just avoid water whenever you possibly can, like at all times. Now I think some of those ford the river type missions that you have to do, I think that's going to be way better. It sounds like it makes it a more fun, more playable scenario.
Savannah Map Pack got a real big boost in, usability for this one, because shockingly, Savannah has a lot of water, a lot of rivers, a lot of lake, and I mean, I definitely lost, I want to say, 1 mech to the water. Like, as soon as I hit that water, I was like, I need to get there. We're gonna run. I ran. I failed my PSR. I fell. I had an open rear torso. I flooded my XL engine. I died. So it's still deadly, folks.
There's still breaches. When you fall, you may only take half damage, but there's still that 10 plus chance to breach.
Yeah. Every time you fall at each location, 10 up, does it die?
But now you don't have to take the PSR if you walk. So it's risk reward, and it's not just risk.
No, I love this. I think this is great, because on those levels that have like rivers and little lakes and things like that, if you have a heavy or an assault that moves 3-5, you can now walk through them without losing the unit, right? Those slower, heavier mechs don't get punished quite as badly for trying to cross a 1 hex wide river, right?
Right.
So I think that's great. And water should have never been.
Water's changed a lot.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Like water should never been more dangerous than getting shot by the bad guy, right? Like, come on.
Oh yeah, and it's always been super deadly. Yeah. Fully support this 100%. Like, I play tested it. We played it on my map. It was, no negatives to this.
Yeah. I've gotten 3 or 4 games in on water maps specifically with these rules, and I'm completely okay with it. Like I said, I walked and ran into water knowing I could die, but I didn't until I did. So
I think the youths say no notes.
I love it. 10 out of 10. Point number 2. Backwards level changes are now allowed. Wait a second. Isn't this just an optional rule called backwards level changes?
Yeah, this is in the Battle Mech manual as an optional rule, and we have been using this for years anyway. I'm fine with them making it not an optional rule. So again, no notes.
We play with this at our local tables. This is like, I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot this wasn't standard. So
right, exactly.
Thumbs up.
I've used backwards level changes all of 3 times in the last year. I can think of each scenario that it happened in. This changes not a whole lot for me, but it becoming standard definitely changes how my brain works. So
and I think I've only seen it fail once. Like, I think I've only seen somebody fail and then slide down the hill 1 time in the last 3 years.
So you still need that PSR. So it's still piloting based. So you're 6'6", super rookie pilots aren't doing it, but.
And yet that 6'6" could jump over into heavy woods and have no problems. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Ground movement hard. Sky movement easy. Any other thoughts on that one, Steve? Or are you good?
No, like I said, backwards level moves. We play with this normally, so I'm glad that this is hopefully going to become standard. It should. There's no reason you can't back up down a hill. That seems a strange restriction that you couldn't normally back up down a hill. Just do it in reverse,
I don't know if y'all saw, but there was one dude who recorded himself walking upstairs backwards on the Reddit Battletech, and just to prove that people could do it. And I was like, are we really in that point in our society?
Problem is it that was probably the 3rd or 4th take.
We gave him a 50-50 chance, folks. Third point, immobile definition change.
Yeah, it's just let us redefine this so that everybody knows exactly what immobile is. Let's just redefine it.
Yeah. I mean, this one was the one that I saw the most contention about because of the way it is. So mechs reduced to 0 MP entirely due to damage. So mechanically, like when you recalculate all their MP, if they're at 0 MP or their mech is shut down or with an unconscious mech warrior, they are considered immobile now. If they are reduced to 0 MP due to heat, or they choose to stand still, or their gyro's destroyed, they are not immobile. So they now have two distinct: can you move or can you not move?
The changes, they just moved a couple things around from the the battle mech manual.
Mm-hmm.
Like it used to be, if you had all 4 limbs missing, you were immobile. That's no longer the case here, unless missing all 4 limbs reduces your movement to 0.
Yes.
In which case it's covered. So they're just redefining it to say, this is why you are immobile, because you have 0 movement points because of damage. I understand the gyro is not immobile. I do think that should be crippled, though. I really do. I just do.
Destroyed gyro. Like, come on, man. Steve, what do you think?
I'm always a big fan when you clarify definitions, right? I think having clean definitions for things is imperative, especially in a rulebook. So this doesn't necessarily bother me. I do have some concerns when it comes to immobile units, when it comes to calculating initiative.
Yeah, that was the big point that a lot of people had.
Yeah, there's some talk about if you're going to make front-loaded standard, having immobile mechs count for initiative means that you can still count those as, you can still sync them for front-loaded initiative, which doesn't totally hose you if you have more units. But now if they don't count
that's the
for
big
initiative, then you're right back where you were, where losing initiative can be absolutely crippling. So it also depends how you do front-loaded, right? If you do 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 until you have 0, that's not as bad. But if you have to move everything up front until you're 1-to-1, this crippling, or the immobile definition change makes it way worse. Kind of exacerbates that problem. So how do I feel about this? This is kind of a mixed bag. We're going to have to see what they're going to do with some of these other rules before we really pass judgment on it.
So I got 2 things, Steve. First, in Alpha Strike, does not this be how it already is? Immobile things don't count for initiative. I know it's rare in Alpha Strike that things are immobile. It's shut down or by heat or overheated. Like, that's it, really.
Yeah, and this is one of the issues that kind of came up at Southern Assault was if there's only one unit on the map that is immobilized, does it count for initiative? Does it not? If the answer is it doesn't, is the game over or not, right?
Yeah.
So in Alpha Strike, it is already kind of this way where if something is immobile, it doesn't count for initiative purposes. That's fine, but also you normally have more units. So it really is a corner case where it becomes problematic.
And you were the corner case where it was problematic.
I was a corner. I was the corner case where it got real bad.
Yeah.
But
I have 0 problems with an immobile mech not being used to calculate for the number of mechs per side. Like I have no problems with that. Because like you said, the problem comes in like initiative. I think initiative is the problem that needs to be fixed. But an immobile mech, it's not going to move. Therefore, you shouldn't be able to use it as an initiative sync. So if you do have a problem with that, I think that could be fixed in the initiative rules and not necessarily in the unit selection rules.
Now, it was answered in the forum for the playtest that this is not getting rid of minimum movement. So there's not really how does minimum movement work? Like in this, is it still immobile?
Minimum movement only counts if you have at least 1 movement point available.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're immobile, it's because you have 0 movement points available. So an immobile mech cannot use the minimum movement rule because it has 0 movement.
Yeah. So that means
that doesn't affect anything.
And I didn't want to say that this is a bad rule. I just said that before I really pass judgment on whether or not immobile units count are going to be a problem, it's going to depend on how they do initiative. So I'm kind of in agreement. I mean, I just want to point out that flag this as a potential problem depending on how they handle that other initiative rule. So just keep it in mind.
Yeah, it says treat as being destroyed for the purpose of calculating the number of mechs per side when determining movement selections. So does that mean like if I had 2-3 Annihilator and it gets enough leg hits that it's reduced to 0 MP, so it can't turn then? Because
correct, it cannot turn.
Yeah, so it's just
that takes a movement point.
Yeah, so then for initiative, like that, it's not even counted. Like it's not even alive for initiative purposes. You still get to shoot it, still get to act with it, but you can't do anything in the initiative part.
I like that an enemy mech can now move through that hex
because
it's
wild.
immobile. You can bypass that Annihilator that's blocking. Like it's not just like, oh, I'm still active, but now you still can't get past me. You can get past it. So I like that.
Unless it's a super heavy. Super heavy still block. Yes.
Yeah, it's a super heavy. Yes.
Yeah, no more Hodor Annihilators, Hodor, Atlases and stuff. The super heavy getting to still block is really fun because
it's a super heavy. Come on.
A super heavy, yeah.
Yeah, but the super heavy is not in the Battle Mech manual anyway. Not that this matters specifically for that, but yes, like the super heavy is big. It's got so many disadvantages. It needs all the advantages it can get.
Give it a little bit of help.
Yeah, so the one thing this playtest didn't speak about was what happens when my hovercraft gets its tracks and skirts blown up and becomes immobilized. It doesn't say in this.
Because this playtest is specifically focused around the mechs right now. They're going to get those rules done, and then they'll worry about vehicle stuff later, because most of it will, like most of the time, vehicles are just tweaks on this anyway. So once they get the foundation down, then they'll move on to vehicles. But they did specifically say early on that these rules are just worrying about mechs right now. So that's the short answer.
Yeah, I mean, in that vein, I do like that if I take a Total Warfare tank and they roll a 12 and they blow my tracks off and I'm immobilized, it's like, cool. You can't use that for initiative. Like,
right, I agree with that.
It is out. It is no longer a vehicle. It's a bunker right now.
Yeah.
So
if you know where it's going to be, if it has no movement to move, it should not count for an initiative sync for movement.
Ready for the next one, folks?
I am.
All right. Number 4, the piloting skill roll modifier for a damage gyro. It was a +3. Now it's a +2.
Yep.
Big fan. I like
totally
that a lot.
Fine with this.
Blackjack stocks are in shambles, folks.
Yeah.
Those gyro hits were extremely punishing. And I mean, to the point where even if you had a 3-4 pilot, taking a +3, making it 7s, you're falling down most of the time.
Yeah, especially since you've got to roll if you run or jump. Like there's so many more. It basically made it so you're just going to want to walk around. Like that's it, and that's extremely crippling. So yeah, +2. It's actually a big difference. A one difference seems like it's just one different. It is a big deal. The difference between an 8 and a 9, it's big.
This is what I wanted from the first day I played Battletech. I was like, why the thing in the most hit location, the most punishing? Like I know I read the stories and it's like, yeah, my grasshopper jumped behind the mech and shot and the oily smoke comes out and I know he's gyroed killed and, he's pretty much dead. I can just move on. It's like, that not good. Me not like that.
So yeah, number 4, big fan. I'm down with that.
Yeah. I don't know if I can go back, folks. Number 5, foot actuator critical hits.
You don't get a PSR for getting your foot shot anymore.
Yeah.
It still counts as a modifier to other PSRs you make, but the initial getting shot doesn't give you that extra, another PSR. There you go.
The critical hit destroys the actuator in the foot. For each foot actuator damage, reduce the mech's walking MP by 1. No PSR when it happens, but you do get a +1 to kicks. Steve, comment?
I'm going to reserve my comment after we talk about the next point as well, because they kind of go together.
They do go together. Yeah.
So I will reserve comment on this one, but overall positive. I'll explain why in a minute.
This is when I think back to that person recording themselves walking backwards upstairs on Reddit. And I'm like, I've worked in construction jobs enough to know that my steel toes are there to keep me from having to take a PSR. And let's say I wore my safety flip-flops and someone dropped that brick off the building and it crushed my good old foot actuators, my toesy actuators. Am I taking a PSR, Steve?
I mean, yeah, you probably should.
I'm going to take a PSR. I am almost certainly falling on that PSR.
At this age, it'd be a PSR, but in my 20s, nah. I could break my toes and still not fall over.
You got to hop on one leg for a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, these are more a stubbing. If you roll and the toe actuator is destroyed, then you have to roll PSR. But stubbed, no, you're good. Yeah, I like this one. So let's keep rolling because this is all leg stuff. Hip actuator critical hit number 6. This is different. Critical hit to a mech's hip destroys the hip actuator. The mech cannot make kicks attacks. I want to say that's the same as it is now. Destruction of a hip's actuator reduces the mech's current walking MP by half. Also the same as now, I believe. Curse me for not doing the leg episode before all these playtests that changed the leg episode. There's a few points on here. If a mech takes a hip actuator hit, ignore all MP reductions from other critical hits to that same leg, past or future. So the hip is the worst one for each leg, folks.
Yeah. And I do like that because it used to be it only erases the other critical hits to that same leg from the past. If they were done at the same time or future, it still adds on to that hip critted leg. But now it doesn't matter when you got those other crits. And I like that so much because it was extra bookkeeping that you had to do. And now you don't have that bookkeeping anymore. Is the hip crit? Here's how your leg works. You don't have to worry about when certain crits happened. Super happy about that. A lot.
Yeah, right now it's your one leg's hip is half your MP. The other leg's hip is the other half of the MP, pretty much. Yeah, the other major point on this one is hip PSR modifiers stack with all other leg PSR modifiers as normal. Makes sense. It's cleared up there. The MP loss from the destruction of hip actuator, like any other damage, can reduce a mech to 0 MP, in which case it becomes immobile. So you're really slow boys, those annihilators, you go from 2-3 to a 1-2.
Yeah, which is better than it used to be, like we said. Because this was so those of you who have the playtest know that there is a 1.01 version out, which does change specifically this hip actuator critical part, because you do half movement with a minimum loss of walking movement of 2, which just
was brutal.
It was too brutal. It would cause immobilization in heavier mechs too early.
Yeah.
And that was a problem.
All of your slow, really slow mechs, the Annihilator is the best case because one golden BB takes out your hip and you are immobilized. You can no longer move. Now you have one other turn. And because if a mech takes a hip actuator hit, ignore all MP reductions from other critical hits to the same leg, past or future, that leg is already broken. So now you need another hit in the other leg. So it won't save you for ever, but it stops from one crit in that leg exploding and just
And I do want to make sure that you understand that it halves your current movement in such that if say you're walking, you walk 6, all right, you're a 6'9", you take a hip crit, okay, and then it's going to have that, so it reduces you to a 3-5, all right. If you take a second hip crit, it reduces that by half, but it's half of the current movement, not your original movement. So you actually end up being a 2-3 if you have 2 hip crits on a 6'9" mech.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So it does not immobilize you. It just halves your current movement.
Right. And I believe they explain that as the legs are seizing up and the joints are seizing up. So you're kind of like peg leg waddling places. Yeah. So you're just slower and you're not totally without, or you're not, having chunks blown out of it. For overall thoughts on the foot actuator and hip actuator, now that we've kind of touched on these, I just want to give you quick thoughts on these. When I was playing Classic, the number one thing that we had to stop everything, take out the book and open the book for were leg crits.
Yep.
Right. What do they do? Yes. What do they change? Hang on, let me redo all my math for my movement. It was a little bit painful, right? Because you need your, upper leg actuators, lower actuators, hip actuator. Like, all right, this is just, there's a lot.
And which ones cause PSRs when you run, which ones cause PSRs when you jump, all that stuff.
Right. This is significantly more streamlined. I like it very much. And especially with the hip crits, it seems natural. You don't have to remove this, that, or the other. It's just, nope, your movement is cut in half, right? Like, okay, maximum movement or walking movement cut in half. Great. I can do that. That's easy, right? So I don't hate these at all.
What do you think, Denim?
6'9" mech with 2 hip crits still being able to go 2-3, that's fine to me. I do like that it's only a +1 to your PSR now and not a +2. So it's like that whole walking around on a peg leg type thing. It's not impossible. It just slows you down some. You're not going to fall over constantly. I think this is going to make it nicer for standard 4-5 gunner pilots. A hip crit or a gyro hit isn't going to totally immobilize you effectively, even though you're not immobilized. Still keeps you in the game, still keeps you fighting, gives your mech a little bit more survivability from those lucky crit type things.
I mean, for me, it's definitely running with a Charlie horse now instead of someone took out a chunk of my bone. And it's like, yeah, there's no chance I'm getting up, folks. I like that they made these leg ones that were just so punishing, because kicks are king in Battletech, and even before, being able to put a mech in the side arc and know that a kick is going there, it was one of the most competitive strategies to cripple a mech. It's like, I don't need to destroy your leg no matter how much structure you have in there. I just need to crit something in there, and then you're probably not moving, you're probably falling down, you're probably not getting up, and then you're going to be much easier to destroy. So these being no PSR for foot, a +1 PSR for hip, you're not, slowed down. It's very hard to immobilize you with just one of these. I think these are great. I think I'm happier taking slower mechs that won't get completely brutalized in the speed department and the PSR department.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still brutal, but not as bad as it was.
Yeah. Yeah, because let's say the worst case right now, I've got a gyro, I've got a foot, and I got a hip. Cool, I'm slowed down, but that's only a +2 from the gyro and a +1 from the hip. That was what the gyro was before. I got a whole extra 2 crits in there.
Which leads us into the next one, if you want to talk about the extra crit.
Here's a new one, folks.
This took me a little bit to wrap my brain around. I know we messed this up a couple times, but I started getting used to it by the third game that I was using these in.
This one needed to be written in bold, and then a little description that says, "This is not how it is normally. Please read this carefully." They really, it felt snuck in. So I didn't notice for 2 games out of my 4, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Point number 7: cumulative leg PSR effects. When a piloting skill roll is called for due to critical hits suffered to a mech's leg, only 1 PSR is made, regardless of how many actuators have been destroyed in that leg. Note that this is single PSR rule is applied per leg.
Yes.
I got a roll for each leg now? Legs are different. They're not just one contiguous part of the body, like in Protomex.
But this gives you potentially far fewer PSRs per turn.
That's true. So I went from each separate thing happening to one per leg.
If, for example, if you got an upper leg, a lower leg, and a foot crit on each leg, so that's normally 6 PSRs at +6. Now you only have 2 PSRs, 1 for the crits that you got on the right leg, 1 for the crits you got on the left leg. You still add all the modifiers up, but instead of 6 PSRs, it's only 2 PSRs.
Wild.
Yes. So again, it adds to the survivability of the mechs due to leg damage. It's no longer your roll's only an 8 to stay standing, but because you're going to have to roll 6 of them, you're not staying standing. This gives you a chance. You only have to make 2 of them. You only have to pass it twice, and that is way more doable.
Well, it's also more fun, right? Because
Yes,
you don't want your mechs laying on the ground half the game, right? That's not fun. I want to see stuff run over and blow stuff up. I don't want to lay on the ground. This is not napping tech.
It's not ground tech. Yeah, I'd take that deal. I would take trading all those individual PSRs for one PSR per leg.
And honestly, for new players, this is going to be great. But for those of us who have played for years and or decades, it's going to take a long time in my brain to fix that. Now, it helps that I use little orange safety orange dice for PSR rolls, so at least I know the number. So as long as I'm paying attention to when the damage happens, as long as I put the proper number on that die, then I don't have to worry about it. But training my brain to think of them as two legs instead of just any actuator hits, that's where it's going to be difficult.
Old dog, new trick. Who dis?
Yeah. I'll get there. I'll get there.
Steve, so you're good on this one?
People who are not as familiar with Classic will have no problems. This is great because we had issues where how many PSRs do I need to take? And you're trying to parse it out in the rules. And that was not a lot of fun. So now it's like, hey, it's easy. It's one. Per leg.
Per leg.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Leg destruction.
Love this. This is great. This is the peg leg.
I like the description. Like the first sentence in here makes so much sense to me.
Yeah. This is the peg leg I was talking about. You just kind of waddle around.
The destruction of a mech's leg very rarely represents a surgical amputation of the limb of the hip. Instead, it usually means the leg is reduced to a hindering lump of savaged, unresponsive metal, now awkwardly fused to the mech and dragged along as the mech moves. Yeah. I needed that for most of these, the physical description of paint the picture, please. All right. So when your mech's leg is destroyed, it has its walking MP reduced by half. Recalculate running, blah, 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 like normal. It is now a +4 to all piloting skill rolls from what it was before, a +5.
Yep, a little bit easier.
Yeah. It must make a PSR each time it runs or jumps, just like normal, and cannot make kick attacks.
Fine.
Yeah, standard.
Fine. I mean, this just makes leg destructions a little bit less punishing. They were already bad, but now you can still kind of move, which is great. So,
well, the movement modifier, like losing a leg and losing a hip, is the same. Like they both reduce your walking movement points by half. So if it's one leg that has been destroyed or the hip that is fused, it is the same. But the PSR modifier is different. Like a leg destruction is twice as hard to keep to stay standing, and you automatically fail that first one. Like that first turn, you automatically fall.
This came up in my game against Jason Hansa. My Grand Crusader's leg, he rolled the crit. He got the 12. The leg was just gone.
So that is a surgical amputation of the limb. And I know that there has been discussion about should there be different rules for leg destruction versus leg removal, because those are two different things, different cases. I know there was a poll going around with Catalyst asking, should we have it as two different things or should we have it as one? So if you have an opinion, go find that poll, give your answer, because that could change things down the road.
There's only 45 votes on the poll because it's not a true poll vote. It's just forum people doing yes or no. But yes, it's the way we played it in our game was the +4, the leg just crippled every ligament, bone, and piece of skin in the leg at once. So,
like, what are you able to pick up as a club now? Because that's what I'm thinking is you've got club attacks. You need that leg laying on the ground for you to pick it up and use it as a club.
Just grab a
that's
tree,
the big thing.
Man. Just grab a tree.
You can't. No. The whole like Battletech beating someone to death with their own limb is a big thing in Battletech. It would be missed if some rule did not affect that. So you can't both have the leg and pick up somebody else's leg and beat them with it. So my opinion is, even though it's more complicated, there should be two different. If this is how you're doing leg destruction, there should be two different rules about it.
You're going to reward Hanso, the writer, on rolling that 12 on blowing my leg off, and he gets to then pick it up and beat me to death with it. And
12s are important.
And then I have a +5 to my PSR instead of a +4.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. Like it's important to the narrative excitement and awesomeness of the game. Yes.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, we've got cover art, Hans Davian beating a catapult to death.
Yeah, it's on the cover. Yes.
So they either need to make a rule that somehow it blows off and you can pick up limbs, or it's still a +4 and it's like the leg's just blown off.
The only time that affects it is on that sort of thing where you get a critical hit and you roll a 12 to blow the limb off. That's it. That's the special case.
Yeah.
You just have a special rule for just that. Everything else is just this leg destruction.
Denim, what if we said that it blows off a big enough chunk of armor that you can use it as a club?
I don't care. Whatever they say, they've got to come up with something that I can beat you to death with your own leg.
Okay. In the event that you roll a 12, a chunk of armor falls off that's big enough that another mech could beat you to death with it. Ignore all other modifiers.
Yeah, so in my game, it came up that my leg was destroyed, blown off, and we played it with the +4, but we also used the next thing to help that roll, and that is standing PSRs. The modifier to the PSR required to stand up is changed from +0 to -1. So my Grand Crusader with the leg blown off needed a +4 -1. So a 5 + 3. I just needed a singular 8 up to stand.
Yeah, I do like that because standing up should be easier than doing other things that would cause a stumble to fall.
Yeah.
Like you're just trying to stand up, make it a little bit easier because nothing is worse. As Steve mentioned before, we don't want to play sleeping tech. We want to play Battletech. Your mech falls down. It was dramatic. It was awesome. Let it get back up and get back into the fight.
Yeah.
Like let it go. Don't be like, oh no, you are now just spinning around in a circle. You're going to knock yourself out trying to stand up on a 6. Like
that's the worst. I had several games of Mega Mech when I was first testing out Classic that were incredibly frustrating because I just couldn't stand up. And it's like, why am I even here? Like, what's the point? I fell down. I took one gyro hit or my one leg got, crippled or like, okay, I guess I'll concede because I took a random hip crit because I can't stand up. That's awful. So the standing up change, appreciated, like it.
This adds to the game is more fun.
Yeah. Get up, dust yourself off.
Big fan of.
Get back into it.
I can't go back, boys. I can't go back to fall tech.
One of my favorite maneuvers in Speedy Mechs is to run over adjacent to a level 1 and drop prone. So this means that I don't fall down as often getting up from that maneuver, to keep myself from getting damaged. So this is going to be even better for me.
So this wasn't its own technical point, but it is a part of the playtest, and I want to touch on quad mechs before we wrap up the whole playtest packet part 2. Quad mechs, the freaks and foot lovers that they are, had to play the rules differently. They added the tripod thing. There was like 2 notes for tripods, but quad mechs, they got a whole paragraph. Firstly, walking it back to the hip crit section, a quad mech with at least 1 hip crit can no longer ignore the target number modifier for firing while prone. And I got to experience that firing from a quad mech while prone this month. I didn't enjoy it, so I had yet to destroy its leg to ignore that modifier. So
yeah, but quad mechs have their own issues, so I don't mind them having those bonuses because they need them.
The other thing is, it can no longer kick in that arc. That's a big one.
Yeah, that is.
So
quad mechs freak me out, and despite the fact that at Brawl in the Bluegrass, Brad tried to teach me how they work, I still don't understand them, and they give me nightmares. So that's okay.
I literally have my folder that I bring to Hangar 18 has a sheet of paper in there in case my opponent brings quads, because if they bring quads, I bring that out. That's got all the rules for quads that I typed up. It's all in one nice and easy to read format. So as they're doing things, I could just glance at my sheet and know, oh, that is how they work, or no, they're doing this wrong. It makes it much more pleasant. So if anyone wants that, just let me know. I'll give them access to my cheat sheets that I've written up.
It's a good cheat sheet. I appreciate it.
Super handy.
Yeah, so them no longer being a kick in that arc is super important, because with the new side arc rules, we can now surgically take off a quad's leg and then have a safety side.
I mean, you always could if you were kicking.
Yeah.
Because kicking that's one of my things about the side arc things, is that we already had that ability with kicking. So shooting slightly more lethal doesn't really change it that much, though. Yes.
So for quads, if you have one destroyed leg, you lose all move and combat bonuses gained from being a quad. Sucks to be you. It loses its -2 to PSR roll. You got to make a normal PSR to stand up, like all that. You do have a -1 MP penalty with one leg destroyed, and you've got your normative cumulative penalties from further destroyed legs. 2 destroyed legs, you essentially have a hip hit if you were a bipedal mech. You have 3 destroyed legs, you have 2 hip hits, and you've got 4 destroyed legs. Guess what? You a snake on the ground, boy. You are immobile.
Yeah, if you lose one, you're a tripod, but you don't have any of the bonuses a tripod gets. Yeah. So that is an extra bummer.
You're not was it gyroscopically balanced anymore. Yeah. So quad mechs, know your place.
It just means I'm gonna have to update my cheat sheet later once these come out.
Yeah. All right, so we touched on all 9 of those. That was a lot. There's a lot of words in this one. This one took a lot more digestion and a lot more thinking about how it affected our mechs.
Yeah, you couldn't just kind of breeze through it. You had to actually read everything in here. If you just glance through it, you're going to miss so much of the little details. And then that's just going to slow you down.
We paused how many times to read them and talk about them and make sure we all 3 of us knew it the correct way?
Even though we've all played games, I've played multiple games with these rules, and I still have to just stop and read and make sure that I'm getting it right and then go on.
So first, our thoughts on this general packet. Positive, negative?
Yeah, positive. 100% positive.
I'm positive.
I'd say 85% positive for me. Yeah, really, that just comes down to the immobile definition change and how it's going to interact with initiative. So there's a little bit of unknown there, but we talked about it already. Other than that, I see no major issues with almost any of these.
They fixed the major issue, which was the hip hit, immobilizing like 10% of the mech population. How has your local group's thoughts been about this?
Also extremely positive.
Very positive.
I think this one's going to be hard to get out of a lot of people's hands. Like, even if the playtest ends, I think you're probably going to see most of these still being played.
Like retraining my brain for things like foot actuator hits and what the modifiers are, because if you're missing a leg, my brain automatically goes +5. I'm going to have to retrain it to go to +4. Remembering to do the -1 for standing. I got to have sticky notes on my little the little cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, I was actually going to modify mine like with a red Sharpie next to it. It's like playtest this.
Yeah.
So
even just the water rules alone.
The water rules are good. That's the best thing in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charlie don't surf, but I sure do.
No, they're great. And they make it way easier to maneuver on a map. And some of those maps are, I think about this. How many maps don't have much or any water on them because the map designers knew that it was going to be super punishing if there was water on there?
Water is a death trap.
Yeah, you could have more of it on more maps and not have it be horrible.
Exclusively play on the lunar map, Steve, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love putting my back to water to tempt people to try and get into my rear arc, because odds are they're going to fall down and hurt themselves way more than they're going to hurt me if they end up shooting me in the back.
What do we think are some winning tactics and strategies from using this? Like, can we be better Mechwarriors using this play test packet rules?
I don't know about better Mechwarriors. I just know that leg crits aren't going to be as bad for you now. You can actually get up and still move. It doesn't make your mech technically immobile while not being actually immobile. I think that's going to make the game more fun. You're not punished as harshly, because Battletech does have a lot of very punishing aspects to it. Very punishing. And I think this helps mitigate some of those extreme cases.
Well, I think it allows us to play the game.
That right there.
You can play the game.
Not playing is not fun.
Yeah, I don't want to flop around on the floor like a fish. I want to shoot things, and I want to die in a glorious explosion. Let me do that. Right. Don't let me lay down.
Don't let me linger in limbo, and that's what a lot of the rules had. So if you're playing a game of Battletech and you get a leg or a gyro crit pretty early on, games can last hours, and your mech's not destroyed, so you're still in the game. but you're just sitting there. You're not playing. You're not having fun. You're watching other people play Battletech, and that's not what I'm there for.
Yeah. I think there's one thing in all of this that I was disappointed I did not see.
What's that?
I wanted PSRs for jumping into woods.
We all wanted that, Steve. We all wanted
I know, but this is the movement section, and we got to talk about it because
I would have loved to have seen that just to try it out. If they want to gather data about it, this is the time to gather that data. Even if it turns out that that's a horrible, horrible thing and it didn't work out at all, at least then we would know. But to not even give us that option, because I know that that's been floating around for a long time. That is not a new thing that people have just come up with. I agree with you, Steve. I'm very disappointed that wasn't even considered to be put in here. I think that's a huge oversight.
Well, I think, yes. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. Is it PSRs on all jumps? Just PSRs jumping into woods? A +1 for light woods, +2 for heavy woods. I mean, especially when we're talking about the major advantage that jumpers have when we're doing these targeted torsos, the maneuverability to focus a left torso over and over and over again because I can jump that far.
Right.
You shouldn't get that for free. That's the problem with
the side table.
You shouldn't get that for free.
Right. Is the jumpers. It's I can't agree with you more. Is it, yes, there are different ways, like you said. Is it all jumping? Is it just jumping in woods? Who knows? Until we get play tests about it, they won't have the data to know if it fixes things or not.
Yeah.
So that's
I think that was a misstep, but
agreed.
My name is not on the box, so I don't get to make those decisions.
So they did address that on not as much on the forums, but on the CGL Discord when it said the exact same thing. I'm just hoping we get some jump jet changes in the mobility pack. And Keith Hahn, Zodal asked what kind of changes, and they said pretty much exactly what we said. Either PSRs or rotation counting as an MP. So if you turn all the way around, it still counts. And he said nothing like that is happening. That would be quite painful for mechs with only a handful of jump jets where they actually use them more to turn around. And there are a few. And then someone brought up the PSR if they land. And he said, we spent a lot of time arguing about that one before ultimately rejecting it. I'm too tired to really remember the details, as it was more than a year ago that we were discussing that. We were arguing about 20 other things as well, but it was one of the big decisions of that. I feel like we might revisit it down the road, but for now it is on ice. So it's not that they don't know, it's that they've argued that and they are either at an impasse or it wasn't felt needed with the current way the game is played.
They didn't play test it, and that's my problem, is that this is the exact time. Oh, there's an argument. That means that there's a lot of discussion of how it would work. This is the way to find out.
Yeah.
This way. This is the way to find out. Right here. But no, that's my problem.
To go back for winning tactics and strategies, I think this will change that we can't play take out the leg and it's dead anymore. I think when we kill something, we have to kill it dead. We have to kill an engine, and we have to kill a head, zombie style. There's no more oh, you took out a bunch of limbs. Cool. That Black Knight hopping on one leg is now a Black Knight hopping on one leg.
Right. So sure, they last longer because of that, but they also last slightly less longer because of the new side rules. So in some way that is going to balance each other out. But now you have to do it. You have to balance that out with positioning, which I like.
Yeah.
For positioning to matter, especially in cases like this, I think that's just one more positive to all of the changes in both playtests put together.
Who are some big winners? Because I know my big winner for this one is people who were already upgrading their piloting skill. So your 4/4s, your 4/3 melee mechs, those guys are pretty much unstoppable now. Yeah, they'll get knocked down with a 20 plus damage PSR, which did not change, but they're getting back up on a -1. So on a Snake Eyes, that 4/3 pilot is getting up.
I think the other big winners are slow, heavy mechs that can now get through water. Right.
Yes.
I think it's another big winner. They have a little bit more mobility.
Assault mechs getting through water, they no longer have to stop halfway through because they don't have enough movement points to get to the other side, because it takes 5 movement points to go across level 1 water from one side to the other. And now they can run. So it is a risk, but they have a chance. They have a chance to get out there, which I think is fantastic. Like the whole water, the water rules, these should have been thought about a long, long time ago. Other winners are everybody in the world who is unlucky enough to get that tack early game that takes out, that gives you one gyro hit.
Yep.
That +2 instead of +3 is huge.
I mean, I can think back to like one of my Nova Cat games where I was trying to get my Kraken across the river, and it's a 3/5. It's a slow boy. And to get across this 1 hex water, the old way would have been to go into the hex, down the hex, the water hex, and I could not run in water, so I had to stay there. Now, it's still not great, but the walking in there is free. I have a chance.
You're saying there's a chance, and that's what I want. I just want a chance.
Yeah.
Just want a chance.
Let me try it.
Yeah. I ran my Spartan in water as soon as I got it, and I was like, full sprint, like doing it, and it was like, yeah, cool. I got across like a big lake without falling. And then I fell, once I took fire and failed my damage PSR, and my open arm, got breached because that's how it works. But I was not dead. I could do it. It was better. I had fun. And then I lost my Beowulf to, open side torso in water. So, it's just as lethal, but it's a different lethal. It's changed how I play the game completely.
And it, again, I think to reiterate, it lets you play the game.
Yeah.
It lets you get to the action rather than bogging you down in some other stuff. So,
yeah. So big winners, thick boys, slow boys, and upgraded pilot boys. Big losers. Does anyone lose with this?
Yeah, quads. I mean, why not? If you have to have a loser, let's do quads. And it's not even like bad. It's not very different from the other rules. They just have to tweak it to make it to make the rules work with the new changes. So if you compare them side to side, you're not really going to notice any actual real differences. But if we're looking for losers, sure, let's say quads.
and
they lose 2 legs and they've got a hip hit like on a regular battle mech. Like, wow, so bad.
Other losers may include immobilized units if they implement front-loaded initiative in the way that we discussed.
Yeah,
right.
It's going to be tough to discuss this properly without knowing new initiative rules.
I hate to keep harping on it, but I just cannot stress enough that it could be a huge issue. So I think this is the big question mark that makes me not love every single thing in this packet.
I think that's still my major issue with the playtest thing. It's like they needed specific questions that they wanted answers to. Like, does this do X? Do you like how this feels with this? Like, when it's just play tested, I'm like, cool. What kind of information are you wanting? Are you wanting lethality? Are you wanting like survivability? Are you wanting mobility? Are you wanting to know how this interacts with this? Like, specifically say, if you don't want me to do initiatives, like, don't tell me that. But yeah, so I agree. Big losers. Fast mechs stay fast, I should say. Slow mechs still move until they don't, but they keep it for longer. So to me, besides quads, but even quads they're not terrible. They're not terrible.
Nope.
Big losers, people who upgraded their piloting, because now the piloting 5 person can stand up with a broken leg on a 8-up.
I mean, he'll fall more often still.
Yeah.
It's just the standing up. He just won't stay down, which does bring me to the overall point of this, though. I think this packet in particular keeps people in the game, which makes the game more fun for players. So I think that's a 2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah. And the last final big one, the bow at the end of the playtest packet. Do we want these as is? If these just got rolled into regular Total Warfare Battletech right now?
If we rolled it in right now, so we know how the initiative works
just
now?
yeah.
Like if it's right out of the book right now, yes. These I would take all of them.
Same.
Right now.
Same.
Yep. I would say even not knowing how the initiative thing is going to play out, even not knowing that, I think all of these are strong improvements to the game. So I would take that possible bad with the rest of the good, because there's just so much good in this packet.
Yeah.
I'm just mad I can't run these at Southern Assault. I'm sorry, folks. I would if I could.
That is going to be tough because I have been using these so much in the last like couple weeks that going to Southern Assault and doing a classic tournament where I'm the TO, I have to keep the right rules straight in my head. Like I have to go back to old game playing rules. So all these little changes that I've been making, I gotta ignore them. I think once I get in the zone, that's gonna be no problems. But I'm gonna have to take a big breath and think about it before I just give a snap answer.
I gotta pull out that Kylo Ren. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Ugh. I want them. I want these rules. I want them bad. But yeah.
Well, you just doomed us all. Now they're going to be lost to, like, we might get them in 2029 now because of that. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah. Thanks, me. Any final thoughts for the episode, folks?
No, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
I'll be excited to see what gear holds when that drops in a couple weeks. And hopefully it is as positive as this stuff is, because if that's the case, the game will be in a much better play state. So,
yeah, agreed.
And next episode, we'll find out what we're both taking to Southern Assault 5, right, Steve?
Yes, I'm very excited.
Denim, you're not coming to the Alpha Strike 1.
No, I'll be there on Monday.
We will miss you. We will miss you on the Alpha Strike side. Well, everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of the Mechbay podcast. We talk about whatever came out this week.
That's right.